Call to order, City of Forest Park Council Public Hearing, March 21st, 2016. First, the item to be considered in the public hearing or to be discussed is the purpose of the hearing is to consider amendments to Chapter 150 zoning code regarding bars and restaurants. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, my name is Chris Anderson. I am the Community Development Director for the City of Forest Park. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider amendments, as the Mayor described, to our zoning for bars and restaurants. Specifically on your agenda, it is ordinance number 05-2016. The proposed amendments, I'll go over hopefully briefly, consist of two parts. The first is to the zoning definition, section 150.03, and that is an amendment to the definition for bar or lounge. And essentially, it defines any establishment that sells alcoholic beverages for consumption on the premises as a bar or lounge, unless certain exceptions are met, which are in a new section 150.154. And that is the second section of changes. This is an additional section to the zoning code, and it groups some regulations that apply to restaurants and bars, some of which are in other parts of the code, including things like minimum seating for restaurants and drive-through service. But then when you get to section C, it provides for the situations where the city could approve a restaurant with a liquor license and it would still not be a bar. And the first of these is if the establishment is an additional location of an existing restaurant. And so if we have a restaurant that's operating somewhere else in the area and they want to open a second or third or additional location in Forest Park, it gives us the opportunity to take a look at their actual operation and if need be to request their financial records to show that they are operating primarily as a restaurant. The second exception is if the establishment is a franchise, and the reasoning on here is similar. So this would be really any restaurant that is part of a national franchise. Again, provides us the opportunity to make that determination of that it is actually a restaurant before it opens. And then there's a third exception, and this was added by the Planning Commission during their review of the proposed changes. And it's basically for any other establishment that wants to come in as a restaurant and have a liquor license. They would be subject to a special exception, which means that it would need to be approved by a vote of the Planning Commission, going through the regular findings of a special exception in that it will not cause a nuisance to surrounding businesses, that it fits within the district that it's in, that it, in terms of both business and the character of the building. And then there are a few other health and safety and general welfare provisions in a special exception review. This ordinance adds two other considerations that the Planning Commission has to consider. One is that the restaurant, or the proposed restaurant, has a full professional kitchen and that it's proportionate to the area and seating of the restaurant. And number two, that the floor plan, including both permanent and movable fixtures, is characteristic of a restaurant rather than of a bar. The Planning Commission, as I mentioned, reviewed these changes at their meetings on December 8th, 2015 and January 12th, 2016. And they voted 6-0 to recommend the ordinance as it is written, and again on your agenda as ordinance number 5 2016. And that would conclude my presentation unless there are any questions.
Are there any questions from anybody from the general public? This is a public hearing, so anyone from the general public, are there any questions, or if you wish to make a statement regarding this issue? As far as members of council are concerned, this item was discussed at our last work session. It is on the agenda tonight, but it is not on the agenda for a vote. It is on the agenda for a first reading only. It will reappear on the agenda at the next regularly scheduled council meeting for our consideration. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, if there's no other business to come before this public hearing, I declare that this public hearing is now adjourned.